I had pretty much known since about 10 years into my legal practice that I would not die a lawyer, a practicing attorney. I knew I wanted to do something else. I knew I wanted to work with women, and I didn't know how to go about doing that. And in typical, headstrong lawyer fashion, at one point I said, well, I help everybody else. I can do this myself. And I started applying, and I was sat on the board of a nonprofit, and I was like, this is what I want to do. I can do this. Big surprise. While I know how to help my clients, it doesn't mean I have the skill set to help myself because I don't know everything about everything. A huge admission for a lawyer, but it turns out it's true. I was really kind of stuck because at that point, I had been practicing for so long, knew that I didn't want to practice anymore, felt that there wasn't an option for me because I had done it for too long. Not so much sunk costs, although that was something other people brought up, like how could you do this for so long and then quit? But more the concern that other people wouldn't think I could do anything else. I was stuck in this in between, knowing I didn't want to be where I was, but didn't know how to get to the next step. Start small. But the bottom line is that you're not investing in a car or a piece of jewelry or an apartment. You're investing in you and changing and doing for you. And it comes full circle to the coaching session I'm going to be doing that I'm teaching next week, because I figured out a way to make sure that I continue to prioritize myself, which I didn't do when I was practicing law. Also the subject of my chapter. And one of the things that this all ties into is your exercise, Elena, about very early on, what does your ideal day look like? And once I started investing in me, once I decided what I wanted my days to look like, they're not completely there yet, but each page of this chapter gets me closer to that ideal day. And the thing that I was worried about, and I'm sure with your listeners, they have this concern too when they start something new. Biggest fear isn't failing. The biggest fear is being ignored. And that was my concern. And so when you start to see, not that I measure, the analytics and the numbers, because you can get too caught up in that. But once I saw that people viewed what I did and they were reading it, and it meant even if somebody doesn't comment, it's out there in the world and somebody is seeing it. And knowing that you're not being ignored and putting something out there, it's thrilling. I love doing it.
What a celebration, all of everything you just said. Welcome back to this episode of the Will Podcast. I am incredibly delighted to welcome today Hilary Sobel. Hilary is a Will alum, and she will be speaking about her experience. And when we started preparing for this episode, I said, how long were you practicing for? And she said, 32 years, 6 months, and 3 days. Not that she was counting or anything, but she was. And Hilary was a corporate attorney. She managed all kinds of litigation, including securities and antitrust, business decisions, governance, finance. I mean, she really did so much. She still maintained her license, is doing a little bit of legal practice, but she has spread her wings and has founded Minerva Strategies, and she'll tell us all about that today. She's been published in Forbes Women, Medium, and you can find her also on her own Substack, The Cowgirl, The Shark, and Stilettos. So welcome to the Will Podcast, Hilary.
Thank you, Elena. It's so good to be here. I do just want to say, so that my business doesn't get confused with anybody else's, it's Minerva Turning Point Strategies. I don't know if there is a Minerva Strategies out there somewhere, so I don't want to have anyone get confused by our names.
Well, we want people to be able to find you, Hilary.
That's true, too. It's lawyer brain worrying about liability, not the business brain.
Not liability, wanting the correct name of your business out there. So thank you so much for correcting that. Let's start. A lawyer for 32 years, 6 months, and 3 days. Take us back to when you and I first met, what was going on for you as a practicing lawyer. And I believe it was 2020 during the pandemic.
It was the end of May 2020, and a mutual acquaintance referred me to you. And I remember thinking, there's somebody out there who helps women who want to leave the law. I couldn't believe that you existed. And I remember when we first spoke, and you were so kind, and you told me all the different options that were available at the time to work with you. And I thought, well, I know myself. I don't want to book out a year because if I don't like it or if it doesn't work for me. I said 3 months because that was your shortest program. And you looked at me and you said, 3 months isn't enough. I'll give you a fourth. And I said, okay. And the thing of it is that I worked with you for over 5 years. So for the woman who thought that, let me try 3 months, I have to say to anybody out there listening to this, I would follow Elena to the ends of the earth because I undoubtedly would not be where I am today without Elena and Will.
Oh my God. Thank you so much, Hilary. That is such a blessing. I really received that. And I also want to normalize for anyone listening who's terrified and skeptical and thinks there's no way I would commit to working with someone for 6 months or a year or 5 years. Like, of course you wouldn't. Like, that skepticism is totally normal. So what was going on for you then that made you reach out to me?
I had pretty much known since about 10 years into my legal practice that I would not die a lawyer, a practicing attorney. I knew I wanted to do something else. I knew I wanted to work with women. And I didn't know how to go about doing that. And in typical, headstrong lawyer fashion, at one point I said, well, I help everybody else. I can do this myself. And I started applying, and I was sat on the board of a nonprofit, and I was like, this is what I want to do. I can do this. Big surprise. While I know how to help my clients, it doesn't mean I have the skill set to help myself because I don't know everything about everything. A huge admission for a lawyer, but it turns out it's true. I was really kind of stuck because at that point, I had been practicing for so long, knew that I didn't want to practice anymore, felt that there wasn't an option for me because I had done it for too long. Not so much sunk costs, although that was something other people brought up, like how could you do this for so long and then quit? But more the concern that other people wouldn't think I could do anything else. I was stuck in this in between, knowing I didn't want to be where I was, but didn't know how to get to the next step. And during the pandemic, as I mentioned, I met somebody that said to me, oh, do you want me to introduce you to my friend? She helps lawyers who want to leave the law. And I was like, wait, there's somebody who can help me do this? It was like eye-opening. The fact that you existed in this niche, you could help me figure out what was next for me.
Thank you for that. I see that so often in longtime lawyers, people who've been practicing for 15, 20, 25, 30 years and think this is all I'll ever be able to do. I missed my off-ramp. And you're living proof that that's not true.
And I am living proof of it. And I want to say to everybody who's listening, I was originally trying to interview for C-suite jobs, figuring I would find organizations that were focused on women's issues. And given all of my experience, C-suite was not an issue at all. And I had an interview for a COO position. I will not mention the organization because it's not fair to them. But I had this interview with the chief people officer. And she was apologetic every time she asked me a question because she started out with, well, what makes you think after being a lawyer for 30 years, you can be a chief operating officer? And she didn't mean it. And she didn't mean it in a nasty way. It was truly like out of curiosity, what makes you think you can go from one to the other? And at each question, she said, well, I realize you probably haven't done something like this, but I'm like, oh, no, let me tell you. Because people don't understand what lawyers do. Everybody's understanding of the legal practice comes from one of two places: TV and movies, which are completely inaccurate, and any bad experience they or someone they know have had. And they don't understand the talent and the skill set that we have. And so to everybody out there, don't be discouraged when you get questions like that. It just means that it's an opportunity for you to teach them. And as it turned out for me to realize that that wasn't the container I needed to be in, and that the universe was trying to tell me, they don't get it, do something else.
That's so great, because that I very clearly remember that emerged as one of the areas for you to explore, right? And you thought you would head in that area. And that's part of the work we did together in Will, was helping surface those new ideas for you, so get you unstuck, and then get out there and having those informational conversations and interviews so you could get more information and kind of pressure test it and see if it works or not. And that was like the exact outcome you want of something like that. Is it either confirms or denies that this is the path for me to keep going down. So what else in your Will experience was really helpful to you in the work we did together?
And I've said it this way in part of a dedication on a chapter that is being published in an anthology in April.
Oh my God.
The dedication is to my mother, the sister of my heart, my friend Melanie since college, the mother of my godchildren, and to the Will community. I think the thing that's most important to me is the welcoming back into the bosom of the sisterhood and the practice of law, and particularly litigation, no matter how many women are in law school, is still a very male-dominated patriarchal system. And one of the most beautiful things about being in Will is being with women who get it, who get you, and whose only goal is to lift you up, not to compete with you. And it is just, I'm an alum, but I really miss Will a lot. I mean, I'm with another group that's focused on actually helping me to build my business. It's not a mindset approach. It's very practical that I'm working with now.
You need mindsets a lot still in business development.
I still hear you in everything that I do. Like you're in, it's like, okay, Elena would say TFAR this. Okay, just relax, breathe. It's okay. And I'm working now on the practical end, but it's also a tremendous group of women, and coming first to Will and reminding me that the sisterhood is there and is not going to let you fall. You might trip, but they're going to be there to pick you up and buffer you and help you along the way. And it's just, it really is one of the most important things I think women and women lawyers especially can tap into and feel good about, because there's so much out there in the world at large and then compounded in the legal world. It's nice to have your wolf pack, as Abby Wambach says.
Your soft place to land. And I just want to mention, Hilary, you mentioned TFAR, T-F-A-R, and that's an acronym I use for a mindset model to help you bust past limiting beliefs. And we all have the thousands of unconscious stories. So you built that mindset foundation in Will, and the skills, because it's just a skill you can learn. No one has a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. We all have both. And which one are you going to lean into? So you took your skills development mindset stuff, and also we did some entrepreneurial work in Will. So how did you come to, start your Substack and develop Minerva Turning Point Strategies?
Well, once again, I started my Substack because you, Miss Elena, nudged me in the right direction. You mentioned it once and said, I think this would be something that would be really good for you to do. And I said, I'll take a look. And I was like, I don't know. And then about a month later, you said, so what do you think about that Substack thing? And I said, let me think about it. And then I wrote about it in my morning pages, because that was another brilliant opportunity to work with you in the Creators Circle. And I realized I was writing all about the Substack I was going to do. And so at our next Creators Circle meeting, I announced that I had decided to do my Substack. I announced my launch date. I created the name, and it went live April 2023, and it's almost 3 years later, and I write 3 or 4 times a week. I've recently added a periodic 5th opportunity to write. It's great. And the thing that I was worried about, and I'm sure with your listeners, they have this concern too when they start something new. Biggest fear isn't failing. The biggest fear is being ignored. And that was my concern. And so when you start to see, not that I measure, the analytics and the numbers, because you can get too caught up in that. But once I saw that people viewed what I did and they were reading it, and it meant even if somebody doesn't comment, it's out there in the world and somebody is seeing it. And knowing that you're not being ignored and putting something out there, it's thrilling. I love doing it.
What a celebration, all of everything you just said. I mean, I think you were the first Will member out of the gate with a Substack, if memory serves me correctly. And now it is almost 3 years, and there's about 10 people have started Substacks altogether, are publicly writing.
See what you started, Elena?
These are the ripple effects that give me chills and joy and are the reason why I do what I do. Because there are too many women lawyers who are suffering in silence, who are suffering literally in silence, alone. And what you just said, you are no longer silent. You are putting your voice out there into the world. I believe women lawyers often feel in a cage, and you said stuck and frozen. And you had the capacity all along to reach through the bars and turn the key that was in the lock, but you just didn't know how, and you tried some things. Then you showed up and went on this 5-year journey where you initially started for 3 months, because what was it giving you that kept you coming back and continuing and moving from Will Transform into the Creator Circle and then into the Willpreneurs group?
Well, aside from the fact that, again, I would follow you to the ends of the earth, and whatever you do, I would follow. And I don't say that about anybody. There's constant learning, but not in a school book or classroom way. It's more learning from each other, having the place and the space to say what's on your mind, to quite frankly sit and cry, which I can't tell you how many times I have cried during some will something, whether it's a retreat or a call or an opportunity. It just being able to let go and to learn and to have people lift you up is the thing that keeps you going. And when people encourage your creativity, it sounds crazy, but it's a really unique thing, because the world we live in, it doesn't accept that. It's not that it doesn't allow for it, because it happens, but people don't accept it, and everybody's in a box. And so I am in the lawyer litigator box, so I can't be creative, or I can't do anything else, or I can't. But in the back of my mind, I'm but I don't want to do it anymore. It's kind of like when you were a kid, I don't want to, but you have to. Well, but I don't want to, but you have to. But I'm a grown up now. Why do I have to? And the women of Will support the you don't have to. I love it.
That's it. That's what we do in Will.
You created the most amazing community that would not have existed but for you as its solar center, Elena.
If a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it, then nobody hears it. Then it doesn't make a sound. So I could be shining, and it's a co-creation. I do believe I was the initiator, but then when you step in and you step in the sunlight, you grow, you bloom. It's that kind of collaboration and co-creation. So thank you so much. And everything you just said. And about creativity, so many, I remember you wanting to be a writer, and that was a big part of what you wanted to do. And like you just said, so many lawyers are creative. So we're all creative, right? But we get put in those boxes early. By 5th grade, if you're not showing talent as an artist or a musician or a dancer or whatever, then you can't do that. I just actually started going to some singing circles. I've never been told I have a good voice, trust me. It's a joy to be singing with others. And you joined the Creator Circle, as we talked about, and we'll put in the show notes a link to The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, which is a book that, is the spiritual path to creativity for everyone, that we all are creators. That was such a transformative time in your Will journey, too.
It really was. Had it not been for the Creator Circle, I might have still been applying for jobs. And it was a few months into that I said, why am I doing this? This is not where I'm meant to be. This is why the interviews aren't going, because the universe is saying you'd be doing the same thing, just get dressed up differently in the morning. And that moment changed everything, because then it meant I could focus on my writing. I could focus on developing a business where I work with women entrepreneurs. I could create my life rather than fitting into something else that already existed. That would not have happened but for the Creator Circle.
We went through a lot together. You got to a point in your journey where you were ready to spread your wings and fly. And we had such a beautiful conversation about that. And you graduated with wings soaring. Right. So tell us what you've been up to now, and tell us how you're helping women entrepreneurs and what you're working on.
This is crazy. I haven't said this in a really long time. I'm having fun. I had fun when I was a junior lawyer because I was learning all these new things. And then after a while, it's okay,
It's work. It's a profession. It's what you do. I'm having fun now. So in addition to writing my Substack, I am doing a number of different things to help me develop my business, Minerva Turning Point Strategies, where I work with women entrepreneurs, not so much startups, but women whose companies already exist and they want to grow. And, you know, they're either not sure what's next or they're sort of living through chaos and they know how to deal with it. But wouldn't you rather have calm compared to chaos? And that's where I come in. And part of what I'm doing as I'm getting out there and talking about the relationship between yourself and your business is I'm writing about things like that will help you as a person and not forgetting about your own priorities, which will help you to focus in your business and your business priorities so that they're aligned rather than you end up the way I did as a lawyer, which is everything's about law and your life falls to the wayside. So one of those things that I'm doing, actually, it's next week. It's a week from today. I leave for Honduras to a retreat. During the 5-day retreat, I will be conducting one of the coaching sessions on making sure that you remain a priority in your own life.
This is huge. I have chills because so often women lawyers, when they leave the big law or the practice, they take all those work habits right into the next thing. They work like big law hours because that's how they're trained. It's no fault of their own. That's how they're trained. That's the culture, how they were acculturated. And to hear you saying, I am having fun. I am prioritizing myself as a whole person and helping other women business owners, like make sure that they're creating calm for that. Like we don't start our own businesses to be chaotic. Start our own businesses for freedom.
Exactly. And the thing is that you find that as you're doing that and you add and you grow, maybe you have it, you've been reactive. And so what do you need to do to step back and make sure that what you're doing for your business serves you as well? Like you can't just serve your clients and serve your employees. What about you? Why would you be imprisoned by your own business?
So it's almost like you remember you were talking about interviewing for the COO role. It's like you're almost like a fractional COO, but in this more expansive way where you're looking at all the operations, including the entrepreneur, founder, person, like taking care of that system also, because without us, it doesn't happen.
Well, or it happens, but you're not happy with it because it's not feeding you. It's feeding everybody else but you. I'm doing that at this retreat next week. And then I'm going on a networking cruise. And as you know, I do not like networking. I am very much an introvert. And I realized, you got to get out there because people want to do business with a person, not with the owl that is my logo. So I am doing that. And as I mentioned a little earlier, I've written a chapter in an anthology, part of the women's leadership group that I belong to, Leadership Global. And the book is about women leaders with purpose.
And did you mention something about a TV appearance also before we were talking? You've got to I don't know if you have an NDA, if you're at liberty to speak about it, but if you are.
It's Women Thriving TV. It's a streaming TV network, and I will be appearing on that in early March. As long as we're talking about appearances in connection with the anthology's publication, there's going to be a billboard in Times Square. And on the billboard will be just moi, just me.
No. I mean, and Hilary, this is a person who would not let us use photos of you from our retreats. And now you're going to be on a billboard in Times Square?
Yes.
Well, are you going to have a party? Can we come? Can I come? Are you having a moment?
But I will let you know. Unfortunately, it's going to be while I'm on my networking cruise, but it will be streamed live, or you can actually, I can give you the information and you can go and be
I'm going.
there. And
I will be in Times Square the day it pops up. Oh, my God.
I'll get you the time that it's supposed to, yeah.
I have full body chills, full body, which Hilary knows this about me, that when I get full body chills, it means that you are on the right path. So I use my business clairvoyance coaching antenna to confirm, wow, Hilary, this is incredible.
One of the photos that I had taken as part of a Trailblazers project, a photo project that was being done, one of those photos has really become my favorite photo to use, where it's just me like this with my elbow on a stack of books. And so that is the photo that will be staring out at everybody from Times Square.
What has helped you get to this place where you, an introvert, someone who didn't like to have your picture shared? When we first started working together, you didn't have a photo on LinkedIn. I was like, you kind of need a photo. And now to going to this person who is going on a networking cruise, who knows people want to do business with people, not the owl on my logo, to being in Times Square. What's helped you get to this place?
Well, I mean, definitely the confidence building work and mindset work in Will has done that. Part of it, I think, is the fact that I'm not afraid to fail at it. It's like, well, okay, I'm going to do this. And if it's not perfect, it's not going to be perfect. Nobody is perfect. It was actually one of the chapters in Julia Cameron's in the Creator's Circle about perfection.
Synchronicity, we just did it this week.
And I had just written about LinkedIn and Substack this past weekend. Done is better than perfect. Nobody is perfect. Nobody is going to look at me and go, oh my God, look at her. Oh, I can't believe she did that. You know, chances are I'm thinking that and somebody else is going, oh my God, that is so brave. I could never do that. And it's just a matter of getting out of my own head. And that's part of the mindset work, which sounds kind of counterintuitive, but it is. It's like nobody is as harsh a critic as you are. And people are reacting well to me and my writing and the photos that I've posted. So why not? I'm still not comfortable with, random photos of me. I mean, that's never going to go away.
But you're not letting it stop you.
But I'm not letting it stop me. That's what I mean by I'm having fun. I mean, the next month and a half are just going to be insanely busy in pulling this all together. I definitely wouldn't have had the confidence to do this without Will, though. I keep coming back to that because it's true, because it's an anchor for me. Will has been such an anchor for me that what I'm doing now, yes, I'm doing it, but could I have done it without Will as a foundation? No. And I know that. I mean, it's not looking for somebody to go, oh, Hilary, you're great. You would have figured it out. No, I wouldn't have, because everybody doesn't know everything. And you have to surround yourself with with people who can help you to learn. And sometimes that's learning about yourself. And so, that's just one of the many benefits of Will.
And that's investing in yourself, right? Also in terms of time and energy and yes, money. And you invested a lot of money in yourself through Will. You came on retreats. You joined the Creator's Circle. You spent 5 years and thousands of dollars. And now you're investing in yourself in a new coaching program. What was that like for you? Because I so often encounter people who are like, oh my God, I've never spent that much money on myself. And look, there's a coach at every price point too. Right? And I think to myself often, well, you did. You invested in law school. You spent way more on yourself. What has helped you invest in yourself? Because I think that's often a barrier for women lawyers.
For me, I started small with 3 months plus one as a gift. You see the ROI. Like if you're talking about it from a lawyer's perspective, what's the return on your investment? And when you see yourself changing, they're not these big changes like when somebody drops 100 pounds and you go, oh my God, like you're a half a person. They're not that noticeable from the outside, but you notice it from the inside. How you feel when you get up in the morning. How do you feel when you go to work? And it's different as you're working through this. I started with you in May. And just to give people some context about what I was going through at the time, my salary had been cut in half when the pandemic started, so about 2 months before I started working with you. By December, when there had been already, such a huge difference in the way I got up every morning, I didn't feel nauseous about it. I knew that there was a path, and I was on it, and I had done the Sunday sprint at that point and was sitting in my office with a bunch of people. They all came in, and we had, wine, and we were chatting, and I was telling everybody, oh, you got to do the miracle morning, and you got to do this, you got to do that, because this is what I've been doing, and this is what's going to help you. And every person that was in that room said, oh, is that what you've been doing? Because we can see a difference. We don't know what it is, but you are different.
And so when you start to feel that difference, you recognize that you're worth investing in. We're so used to proving ourselves as lawyers that somebody else should invest in us. Give us the job, give us the case, give us the client. And when you start to invest here, you see, screw those other people investing in you. It's time for me to invest in me. And that's the change. And so when in December, there were then going to be furloughs. And I was going on vacation for 2 weeks and then was furloughed primarily for like another 4, I actually didn't practice law for 7 weeks in a row. And somebody said to me, so what's it like not to work for 7 weeks? I said, wasn't that I wasn't working. It's that I wasn't practicing law and it felt fine. And so that's when I knew from all of the work that I had done in less than a year with you, first of all, I was going to be okay. I was going to figure it out. I didn't know what it was going to be, but I knew it was manageable, it was doable, and it was about me at that point. So that's what I would say to people who are concerned about the money. Start small. But the bottom line is that you're not investing in a car or a piece of jewelry or an apartment. You're investing in you and changing and doing for you. And it comes full circle to the coaching session I'm going to be doing that I'm teaching next week, because I figured out a way to make sure that I continue to prioritize myself, which I didn't do when I was practicing law. Also the subject of my chapter. And one of the things that this all ties into is your exercise, Elena, about very early on, what does your ideal day look like? And once I started investing in me, once I decided what I wanted my days to look like, they're not completely there yet, but each page of this chapter gets me closer to that ideal day. And what I'm teaching at the retreat dovetails so much with the way I look at what my ideal day is. And it all circles back to will.
I receive that. I really receive that. You put in so much and you got out so much. And, that I started crying when you were talking about, like, you're worth investing in at the core of all of this, whatever kind of coaching program you invest in or work, you're worth it. You are. And I know it's trite and it's like that L'Oreal ad from back when we were kids. But so often it's just, if I just put my head down and be a good girl and work hard, I'll be recognized. Someone will invest in me. And from you and, Meredith's podcast interview is like similar, like, wait a minute, no one is going to invest in me but me. And no one is going to take an interest in my career the way I do. Like, the firms, their interest is not really in your career.
No, it's in what can you do for them. They're willing to pay for that, but it's transactional. Your worth to them is based on what you give to them. It is not based on what you give to you.
Well, on that note, I think that might be a chef's kiss moment to wrap up. Is there anything you would want to say to a woman lawyer who feels, especially who's maybe been a lawyer for a long time, who's stuck and is scared and thinks, I can do this myself? What might you say to them?
You might be able to do it yourself, but why do you want to? There are people who want to help you do this. Reach out to them. Elena for sure, but reach out to me. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to talk to anybody and everybody about this, because we forget that there's nothing wrong with asking for help. We've always been the go-to as the lawyer. We've always been the Ms. Fix-It. Let somebody else do that for us.
So good. All right. So where might people find you, Hilary?
So you can find me on LinkedIn. I believe I am the only Hillary Sobel on LinkedIn. You can find me on Substack at The Cowgirl, the Shark, and Stilettos. But you can feel free to email me as well. Email me through LinkedIn.
Well, Hilary, I thank you so much for sharing all your truth bombs and wisdom nuggets and gold nuggets. And I am so delighted with how you have built on the foundation you took from Will and are just going higher and higher and soaring. It's so beautiful.
Thank you, Elena.
Surprising me and sharing some of these. I mean, a billboard in Times Square. I mean, a TV appearance. Like, this is huge. So thank you for sharing all of you with me and all of us.
Oh, well, Elena, thank you for everything that you and Will have done and created and continue to create for the women out there who, until now, didn't know where to turn. And now they do. Because where there's will, there's a way.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Will Podcast. If you liked what you heard, please follow for more, rate and review to help another unhappy lawyer find her way here and see there's nothing wrong with her. You can also please share it with a friend. To learn more about how Will can guide you to clarity, freedom, and relief, go to www.womeninterestedinleavinglaw.com and book your confidential consultation. Where there's a will, there's a way. Let's get you on your way today.